everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Feminine Moment. I am Cherry Lynn, and I am joined with Dixie Andelin Forsyth,
Hi.
author of Fascinating Womanhood for the Timeless Woman. Hi, Dixie.
Hi.
We are here today to talk about women that are short-tempered. So we had a lady ask us just for advice about her. She's just has a hot temper, just how she is. It's a natural thing. And she was trying to practice fascinating womanhood principles in her life. She's trying to learn them, and she's just struggling with her temper.
We talked a little bit about these sort of things before, that anger and temper are there. It's a secondary emotion. It's not primary. Primary anger is usually secondary to hurt or pain of some kind. And sometimes you learn that kind of almost like a habit of how to react. Probably one of your parents or both had this same issue. It can go on even for generations as a way to deal with things. And a lot of times when it happens, then you do this, and then you end up with this regret, like, what did I do?
Yeah.
You kind of regret your actions, and you think, how can I not do this? But part of that is recognizing too, like from Timeless, that this is a downstairs reaction.
Right.
It's downstairs, and while I say it's a habit and you can break it, partly you've got to be kind to yourself and don't expect perfection overnight, because if you've developed a habit for a long time, it's going to take a while to kind of feel like you've kind of overcome it. But what you can do is to study the book on Timeless, especially the chapter on the brain. It talks about being in the basement and what causes that, and stress. And sometimes anger can come from, because women often hold things in. And as they hold things in, like say somebody will hurt their feelings and they don't say anything. They don't say anything. And eventually, when you said the hot temper, it probably built up over maybe days, maybe hours, maybe weeks. And so when they think I have a temper, they really are like a teapot that's releasing after it's been actually on the stove a while and is starting to boil where it can't hold anymore. So the key in a temper is to learn to release that. Again, girlishness is really good, releasing it more as it happens rather than letting it build up and explode.
Yeah. A lot of the women I know, not all of them, but a lot of them seem to relax when they can speak, like when they can get a lot out. When you can verbalize your feelings, it somehow takes all that away from you. It sends you upstairs.
Yeah, and verbalizing, and I'm glad you brought that out, because women tend to, not 100% of us, but most of us tend to need to verbally express ourselves. And when we can't, either we don't have any close girlfriends or we can't talk to our husband because he's completely different, that can, men deal better than we do with dealing with it in their head. We tend to need to verbalize it. And so it's like verbal processing. But the problem is when you have a temper, it's like you let things build up and they're stored in there, and then it all comes out in this kind of a wave. And it may have only been like 2 or 3 days of something. Or maybe a little thing here, a little thing there, and you think, what happened? I just suddenly exploded. So as you learn to deal with your feelings when they happen, like part of it is being self-aware. Like, okay, that really bothered me that this happened. What can I do? You can forgive. That's an option. You can say, well, I really have to deal with this. I really need to correct this. You can talk to someone. You can use girlishness. You can write it down. You can be careful who you talk to, though, because you don't want to tell your friends anything negative about your husband unless you really want them to not think well of your husband. And what if it gets back to him? It's really not a good idea to say anything negative.
In recap, you're basically saying being aware that the first time you start to get agitated about something, and being aware, like almost like it's a
self-aware.
I need to be aware that this just happened, and I could get, my bottle is starting to fill.
As you become more self-aware, and women tend to be better at this than a lot of men. So you got a great advantage, ladies, because we tend to be more self-aware because we're more sensitive. So as you become more self-aware, read that chapter on the brain and then the one after it on stress. Yeah, because you can solve your anger problem if you can learn to understand yourself, be kind to yourself once in a while, for heaven's sake, because you can't be perfect. And then learn to express things as they happen, and then they won't be exploded.
Yeah, something that I learned, I wish I had learned it a lot earlier in my life, is that I absolutely have to exercise to stay upstairs. And I enjoy talking and I need to vent, and, like all women do, but I have a special thing that I found out about myself a few years ago, that if I go more than probably 2 days without really strong exercise, my bottle starts to fill. And it's almost like every time I exercise, it's empty.
I think you have a few other family members who have that same
I
propensity.
think a lot of people may be that way and they don't know it. And it may not be exercise. It may be, I know someone that gets severely depressed when the weather is bad for too long. And it's a problem. And she's gone to a therapist about it. She needs to be outside and live in the outdoors. And for her, she ended up moving to a place that's nice all the time.
Well, that's
because she needed it. And I think, if you can figure out what that thing is that empties your bottle in a sense.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes if you can't go to the gym, or you don't have a gym in your house or anything, you can, I've done this, you can get on your hands and knees and clean your kitchen floor, your bathroom floor on your hands and knees with a rag, because it's more vigorous. It's actually a kind of exercise. And those are things that we've in the chapter on the brain and timeless ways to get upstairs. Those are some of those ways too.
Yeah.
There's music, gratitude. There's a whole list of them, and find your favorite ones. And the gratitude one and deep breathing you can do anywhere you are. You can stop and do slow, deep breathing. And you can also think of what you're sincerely grateful for. It begins to get you upstairs.
Yeah.
It's just like stairs. You have to climb each one individually. It's not like a fire pole. You go down to the basement.
Right.
Getting back up, you have to do it a stair at a time, but it does help. Humor is also really good. And a whole list of things you can read about.
Yeah. No, this is great. I think this video also ties in. I think we were just talking about this earlier. It ties in with a lot of other subjects. And you could look up upstairs, downstairs. We've done videos on that. If anyone wants to read about that, or just pick up our book. I'll put a link in the show notes down below to purchase the book if you want to read more about it. But definitely go through our channel if you have time. And we're here every week. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Take care, everybody.